So where are you headed?
I am headed to Roosevelt Island, where we do a lot of philanthropic advising work.
Which borough do you call home?
I live in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy. I have now been in Brooklyn for just about 7 years.
What do you do at the trust?
So I provide philanthropic advising services to our donors, help connect donors to nonprofits that they are passionate about and the causes that they're interested in giving to. We also work with family foundations, corporations, government agencies, and more to help run full-scale grant-making services.
What is a recent example of the services you provide?
We were recently working with a donor who was really passionate about nonprofit journalism in the city, so helped connect him to a number of great nonprofit newsrooms here in New York that are doing really excellent work, particularly around local reporting, outreach to immigrant communities and more. We also have been working with a family foundation over a number of years to support nonprofit theaters in New York. So that has helped them with everything ranging from capacity building, strategic planning, to subsidizing tickets to performances so that as many New Yorkers as possible can see the best that New York theater has to offer.
What inspired you to go into philanthropy?
So I used to work in publishing prior to my career at the Trust. I was reading these great books, great ideas, new worlds. And so I began thinking, what can I do to help put resources toward these amazing ideas that I am reading about? So I started at the Trust as a fellow.
So what's the biggest lesson you've learned in the role?
How much nonprofits contribute to New York City, the character of New York City, the diversity of New York City, the vitality of New York City. I've lived in New York for 11 years this year, and I feel like when I started working at the Trust, I got to know New York City in a completely different way.
What was a moment in philanthropy you were really inspired by?
So I was really inspired by philanthropy during the pandemic. I felt like I saw so many philanthropies really think about cultures of care, think about flexible support to nonprofits, and really come together in collaboration to help support our nonprofit community and our in our neighborhoods during a crisis.
What's your favorite thing about spring in New York?
I love the first truly warm day of spring when everyone starts playing music on the streets, all of the restaurants open up their windows, and I feel like the whole city comes out to play and hang out.
What are you currently reading?
So I always am reading at least 2 books in case, my mood is different on a given day. I am currently reading The Color of Law, which is a nonfiction book on how the U.S. government promoted and enforced segregation, particularly in our housing markets. And I am also reading a fiction book called All This Could Be Better by Sarah Thankam Matthews.
What's one underrated thing in New York City that you wish more people knew about?
So I love Greenwood Cemetery and Park, and I think that is one of the really underrated parks in New York City. And it's super close to Brooklyn's Chinatown and Sunset Park.
What's one way donors can make a big impact with just one gift?
Okay. So I think that one of the kind of unheralded partners of the nonprofit community are technical assistance nonprofits. So these are nonprofits that can provide training, resources, cohort building, all kinds of things to help nonprofits in any sector do their job more effectively. So a grant to a technical assistance nonprofit, that come to mind are our Community Resource Exchange, Cause Effective. So one grant to one of these technical assistance nonprofits can reach hundreds of nonprofits all at once.
What's one thing that makes a nonprofit strong?
I think one thing that makes a nonprofit strong is being led by people from the communities that they are serving with lived experience of the issues that they are trying to solve.
And what's your bagel order?
I am a whole wheat everything toasted with sun-dried tomato cream cheese.
Great, thanks, Julia.